All right, welcome everybody. It is our March CSTA meeting, our Oklahoma chapter. Really appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We've got some special guests that we'll be hearing from shortly. We've got some new faces that are haven't seen in a while, and some old friends that are constantly here. And we really appreciate all of you for giving up your time on a Thursday evening. I'm Kristen Tanner. I'm your president of the Oklahoma chapter. We also have Pamela Smith here, who's our vice president. Our treasurer is Leanne Pepper. Our secretary is Sarah Major, and our communications chair is Karen Leonard. In the chat, there is a sign-in link. So if you'll please sign in, we use those to collect metrics for CSTA National. We have to do some reporting for them. And we also use it to report out for funders who help support and fund CSTA Oklahoma. So please sign in. That's also how you can be eligible for a door prize at the end of the meeting. And then there is also a link to the slide deck if you just like to follow along in the slide deck as well. So again, thank you for being here tonight. We're going to talk about CS Career Connections. We also have elections coming up, so we'll talk about that as well. So just a reminder, we do have a code of conduct and meeting norms. CSTA OK is committed to building community and creating a safe and positive experience for all. You can see those guidelines there, and then you can also read our full code of conduct and meeting norms in the link. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions about that. And first, usually we just do a quick introduction. We want to make sure that people kind of know each other. We're spread all throughout the state, and a lot of times CS teachers are the only CS teacher in their entire school teaching the content area. So part of CSTA OK is having that networking opportunity. So we'll just do a little round robin, tag each other. Who are you? Where are you from? I put just the chat if you're interested in like sharing. If you got to go to Mars or a new planet, but you could never come back to Earth, would you go? I struggle with that question, even though it's not like a real question that's ever going to happen to me. I think about that all the time. I mean, we do have a jam board. So if you have anything that you specifically want to have us talk about at the end of the meeting, we usually keep the room open about 10 extra minutes to have discussions and answer any questions that anybody has. So feel free to add stuff to the jam board. As I said, I'm Kristen Tanner. I'm a former classroom teacher. I now work for the Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance. It's a nonprofit that supports STEM education in the Tulsa metro area and all around Oklahoma. And I don't think I could go to a new planet because I would miss my kids too much. I used to say, yes, I would go, but now I'm like, oh, I would miss my kids. So I'm going to say, no, I would not go if my kids can't go. And I'm going to tag Amy.
Yikes, Zoopy's up first. My name is Amy Steelman. I work at Heritage Hall, teaching literally everything I think you could possibly put on a teacher. I happen to do it. We're actually searching for a new computer science teacher, if anybody knows that. But gosh, right now I'm teaching CSA and CSP, intro to computer science. And I teach a lot of the creative aspects like 3D design and other classes. If I could take my husband, I think he and I would both go. We've got kids. Our youngest is a junior in high school right now, and our oldest is a junior in college. So I think once they're done with us, I think, yeah, I would totally go.
And then you can just tag somebody else in the group.
I will tag Chris.
All right, Chris Harrington. I work at Quick Trip right now. Senior network operations engineer here. Basically the technical lead for Quick Trip operations, network operations. Been in this role for about 4 years almost. In the profession for about 11, I believe. Yeah, and we basically just keep the lights on around here. Keep Quick Trip connected to everything and all the people. So that's what I do. Let's see. How about Matt Stewart?
Oh, I had a feeling that Chris might pick me. I'm Matt Stewart. I'm a systems administrator here at Quick Trip. I've been doing IT here at Quick Trip for about 10 years and been a sysadmin for about 9 of those, I think. On a day-to-day basis, I mainly manage our VMware and Citrix environments. also work with my team to maintain all our other server infrastructure, from racking equipment to managing updates. Also do a lot of scripting and automation work around like our server deployment processes and repeated troubleshooting steps and those sorts of things. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll go ahead and tag Daniel in.
I knew you were going to do that. I'm Daniel Cawhern. I've been working at Quick Trip for about 22 years. Been in IT for about 28, all said and done. I am desktop support, so frontline guy, definitely, the face of IT in a way. We go to the desktops, we take care of people. Spent about 5 years in server admin support, and well, while that was really cool, I did want to see the light of day again, so I jumped back over to the desktop group. Found I was a little too social for the servers, but anyway, that's probably about it. Desktop support's pretty self-explanatory. You just take care of any problem anybody has, anytime, anywhere. Quick Trip's pretty cool because if somebody is not here in Tulsa, if they're in one of our other divisions, they're not shy about putting us on a private jet and flying us out there and having us take care of them in person if we really have to. So pretty neat environment to work in at Quick Trip. Definitely a lot of variety. So and Chris, I see you're actually still in the office, so my condolences. I will kick it on over to, let me get my list up here. Amy?
I think Amy.
Oh wait, Amy's already gone. I'm
Amy
sorry.
already-
Yeah.
Let's see, we've got Crystal, Leanne, and Steve.
Yeah, let's just kick it over to Crystal. She's next on the list.
Hello, I'm Crystal Jackson, and I teach at Olive Public Schools over in Drumright. And I teach AP Computer Science Principles, Computer Science Discoveries for my middle school. And then I also teach science and robotics, and I think that's it. And I think a long time ago I would have went to Mars if I got the chance to. I'm not sure now. And it'd be a flip point. And I'll tag Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Leonard. I work at the Oklahoma State Department of Education as the Director of Education Technology and Computer Science. Have to say that down here in OKC, we are excited to get our first Quick Trip. I hear that one's coming. I lived in Georgia for 20 years, and that was our favorite gas station. They were everywhere, and love them. The ones we have here are very nice, but they're not QTs. And no, I think I'd be terrified to go out in space. So I'm kind of a big wimp. So Leanne.
Hey guys, I'm gonna stay off camera because I'm driving back from Dallas, but my name is Leanne Pepper, and I am one of the education technology and systems managers in Tulsa. And so my main job is to manage our Canvas instance and make sure all of that is good and up and running. If I had the opportunity to go to Mars, but likely never return to Earth, I would definitely not do that. I actually just, while I was out of town, the movie Contact was one of the only things that was available to watch on TV. So the question kind of cracks me up because it's basically the premise of that movie. So that's just a funny coincidence. And then I am not sure who else has not gone yet. So if you haven't gone, feel free to just come off of mute.
Wait, Dr. Wheaton, Barbie looks like we still need to hear from.
All right, yeah, I'm Stephen Wheat, and I'm a professor of computer science at Oral Roberts University. I also run our High Performance Computing Center and the graduate advisor for our Master's in Computer Science program here at ORU. Been here for 4 years. I was in industry for 38 years before that. All pretty much in the area of supercomputing for everything from defense to commercial uses. And so I guess that leaves us going to Barbie. Oh, by the way, no, I'm going to leave that to a younger person who will spend more time where they're going.
I am Barbie Jackson. I teach kindergarten through 5th grade STEM resource class in Sand Springs, and no way would I go to another planet. I want to live here and watch my little girl grow up and start a family and see her life as she grows up and, you know, be there. So, okay, I guess that's everybody. I don't know. I had to jump off. I was on the phone, so
Yeah, I think that's everybody, Barbie.
okay, all right.
All right, so we'll move on. Our next, I mentioned we'll talk about, we have a panel tonight, but they've already introduced themselves from Quick Trip. And Steven, since you are also former industry, feel free to jump in on any of these discussions as well. But we'll talk about, we've got a panel, and then we'll talk about, Karen, I think, has some information to share with us, and then we'll talk about elections as well. So I'm going to pass it over to Pamela.
Hello. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you so much for those from Quick Trip that are joining us tonight. I know you're taking time out of your days, and so I was just going to have you guys go ahead and introduce yourself, but we've kind of already done that. So I guess I'll start out with if I could just kind of get you guys to answer a few questions. Basically, we just kind of want to pick your brains a little bit on some information that we can bring back to our students that are looking as to go into the CS profession, and just kind of get some information from you guys. So I am going to start with Daniel. I know you've already kind of introduced yourself, so maybe just kind of tell us just quickly again kind of what you do. And something that would be interesting to find out is just, did you study computer science in college? And what actually got you into this profession that you're in?
Sure. Yeah, actually, I'm kind of one of the weirdos in computer science that has a computer science degree. So from good old fashioned TCC here in Tulsa. But originally I started at Tulsa Tech when I was in high school. Junior and senior year, I took electronics, and I hung around for the third year, which was actually computers. And at the time, computers were clunky and just a ton of fun to work on. But from there, I got into technical manufacturing in a group at TV Guide. And then after that, there was an opening for a desktop support guy, and I'd never done such a thing. I thought, sure, why not? Let's jump into that. I've built a lot of computers. Surely I can fix some of them by now. Got into fixing computers, and then from there, just really enjoyed the whole energy of that side of the house. As far as education goes, like I say, I did VOTech, but I did night school to get my computer science degree from TCC. It was kind of funny because I was already working in the field. So a lot of times at some of those night schools, I was fixing the computers for the computer lab before we could get started, stuff like that. It felt like I kind of did things out of order that way, but did get my degree. And I think what I learned along the way is, especially with computers, it's more about staying current. And while the computer science degree is nice and is good, it's really all about keeping up your skills as an individual and staying up to date with everything that's changing all the time. From a standpoint of day to day, what I do, I really, like I say, I'm frontline, so I am walking to somebody's desk when they put in a trouble call, dealing with their situation, their issue, trying to fix it. What I found along the way is you also deal with a lot of things that aren't computer related. You know, if there's a projector that's broken in a conference room, you're the guy. If there's, you know, anything that's halfway technology related, most times you're the guy. You're the first line of defense, and then, you know, you're calling out somebody else to come help or trying to make arrangements if you have to. But usually you can't be shy. If you need to get up on a ladder, you need to get up on a ladder. If you need to do this, you need to, you know, you have to be very flexible. And some people that's kind of hard to do, but other people like me, I really enjoy that kind of variety. So I always encourage people, if they want a good place to start in the computer science field, desktop support's great because you will experience everything. And I think it's the variety really helps you understand the field better and understand what you like in the field. Because I've had a lot of guys come out of my group and go into, you know, data engineering or go into networking or go into server groups. Because they get a taste of everything, so they kind of find real quick which way they want to go. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you so much.
We'll probably swing back to you here in a second.
Sure.
Chris Harrington, kind of the same questions that I just asked Daniel.
Sure. Well, I started in IT really probably about 17 years ago. I started also in remote desktop support, really supporting American Airlines at EDS. I was in retail prior to that. I did go to school, study it a little bit. I actually got my first taste of wanting to get into really just IT in general in high school. I graduated from Broken Arrow High School, and they had a C++ course, which was highly unique. I actually took C++ and computer science at the same time. Was pretty bored with computer science just because I had always played with computers, since I could, essentially. But C++ really caught my interest in high school. I did go to TCC and did some more. I did C++ again and a few other courses. I never finished my degree or anything from TCC, but ended up working full time and then realizing I need to go chase my passion, which was IT. Got into EDS. Enjoyed the desktop side of things, but I'm kind of the opposite of Daniel. I got to a point where I didn't really care for the people side of things. I can handle the remote aspect of that, but the chasing things around and running around kind of drove me up the wall a little bit. So I did really well on the remote aspect of things, and landed with networking about 11 years ago, and really kind of always interested me. It was really where my heart lied in the field. So I chose that specialization, went and got certified, Cisco certified. So I'm professional certified in design, enterprise core, and right now chasing wireless. So really turned my focus to certifications, did a whole bunch of self-taught courses in that regard. And
Okay.
got there, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I think our next up would be Matt.
Yeah, so again, Matt Stewart. I am a systems administrator at QuickTrip. So I work on the server team doing all the servery things. I do not have any CS related degree at all. I just graduated with a business degree. But I started actually working in the stores at QuickTrip right out of college. And it's a weird place where you can go from working in a store to working in IT. So I came on board, started working with Daniel and his team. Initially just sitting and building computers, really, when we were still kind of doing that all by hand in the house. And if someone needed a new desktop or laptop, I'd sit there and image it and get it all built up. And I did that for a while. We also, at that point, assisted with opening stores. So we travel out to the stores and kind of do the QC check of all the IT systems there, make sure everything was running from, check stand to the gas pumps and security and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I decided to make the leap over to the server team. And I've been there for quite some time now. Again, we have mostly virtual infrastructure. So we do have our own data center here as well. So it includes, racking and keeping up with equipment on site, and then managing all our virtual environment and all of our in-house applications, all the back end for all of that. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Stephen, do you mind if I pull you into this panel?
No, not at all.
Okay. So can you go ahead and answer those questions about how maybe did you get a degree, or how did you pursue computer science? And
Well, I started out, I got introduced to computing technology at Booker T. Washington. back in 1976, 77 kind of time frame when I was going there. And I left there after graduating, went to ORU, and I started the computer science program there, and ultimately ended up finishing my bachelor's at University of Houston, did my master's there as well in computer science, and went from there to Bell Laboratories, doing telephony, and then also doing underwater warfare support and supercomputers for submarines. And then I ended up doing my PhD in computer science at the University of New Mexico. So across that kind of situation, and was with the national laboratories in the nuclear weapons program, doing research for high-end computing simulation of nuclear weapons. And then Intel Corporation for 20 years, where I branched out in that supercomputing domain and did worldwide business development and research collaborations, or like I said, worldwide. So eventually returned back to Oklahoma after retiring out of the industry, and fired up here where we're teaching the next generation to do all that.
Great, good information. Okay, so what I thought about doing was just going ahead and opening it up. If any of you guys have any questions for these, for our panel, or if you want to type something in the chat, and I'll see if I can go ahead and ask, or I do have a few more questions if nobody else has any questions. But
I was kind of wondering, like, since you all are at various levels, like, and we also have various levels from teach, like we've got people in here who are teaching kindergarten and pre-Kers all the way up to college students. So I guess I would want to know as a teacher, like, what's the one thing or something that you really, when kids are leaving high school, like, what do you want them to know? Either if you're going to be hiring them to a job, or if you're going to be accepting them into a program outside of high school, like, what's the thing these kids need to know and be able to do? And I would say just feel free to unmute and talk.
Anyone? I mean, I think it's really important to find your passion just in general. I think sometimes it's okay to do something you may hate, but be okay with figuring it out as you go. I think some people or some kids want to know exactly what they want to do as soon as they come out of high school, and it's great to have a path. But sometimes it's okay not to, and it's important to focus on a passion at that point. Discover what you really enjoy, and don't be afraid to dabble in that. So.
I agree with Chris. I think a big aspect of it is not being afraid to work hard, regardless of what they're going to throw at you. I mean, a lot of times you're going to have to kind of feel your way around before you find that path, find that passion. And there's a lot of things that you learn in the workforce that you're not prepared for. You had no idea it was coming. And somewhere along the way, you find that thing that's like, oh, this is what I'm really good at. This is what really, finally, I found that thing. And I know for me, there was a lot of stuff I did. I mean, that just, I didn't picture myself doing. I didn't particularly enjoy doing. I was building cables till 8 o'clock at night at one point, just doing things that I was like, well, this is really grunt work. And I think it's important for kids to know that you still have to pay your dues. You still have to, the path forward is not always real clearly marked. And a lot of the things you do along the way are what help you find that path. So just the idea that, work hard and stick with it, which is kind of old fashioned, but a lot of the young people that the younger group that kind of circle through our groups, a lot of times they're right off the bat. They're like, I want to go into management. I want to do this. And they're trying to move much faster than they're ready for. So I think, patience and hard work is always a good idea.
You're going to kind of hear our QT culture coming through there, obviously. But yeah, I think, even starting from the beginning nowadays, I mean, we have, starting to try and teach my 5-year-old, kind of basic ideas around coding and stuff. I mean, you can start all of that so young today. And I mean, coding is just something that's so critical, now and going into the future. So I think it develops a lot of those problem solving skills that are going to be important, particularly in this field. And then working with a lot of our new guys and training them, it's really the thirst for knowledge, just being able to go out there. I think, like someone mentioned earlier, Daniel, I think, was one of the big things right now is just staying current. I keep a home lab at home where I kind of spin new stuff up and play with it. And so definitely that thirst for new knowledge and being able to go out and seek some of it on your own and walk through those and, just kind of study, continuing studies, if you will, is really important, I feel like, in the field today. And yeah, again, just that thirst for knowledge and drive is kind of the biggest thing, because you can teach a lot of the stuff on the job as long as you're ready to absorb.
Well, I have a
You're
question.
muted, Stephen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Oh,
that
sorry.
culture thing is an important thing, and you could hear that coming through. I didn't work for very many companies. I was at AT&T, Bell Labs, that is, and Sandia National Labs and Intel, and then Hewlett Packard, and that was it out of those 38 years. And the place that was most cultured with that in their culture was Intel. And back in the day, starting with the founder at Andy Grove and Robert Noyce and so on, they had 6 cultures that they called out, and I could hear quite a few parallels to those. And that really led to being able to thrive within the Intel environment with the others. Upfront, the customer's first. You're doing something ultimately for a customer, whoever that customer may be. You find out who your customer is, and so on. Understand that there's a result that is aimed at for a particular purpose. And then results orientation. It's not about how much you work, how hard you work. All of that happens, but ultimately it's what gets done. And so it's the results. And then there's risk taking is another key culture thing. What they now call fearless innovation, to take risks, to explore, do it with informed risk taking, but nonetheless understand the risks. And then quality, do it right the first time, type situations. And then on the there's an integrity type situation as well. So we had the customer orientation, the quality, fearless, or risk-taking, and so on, results orientation. And then another one was great place to work. Are you making where you work a great place to work? Not only is the company a great place to work, but are you contributing to making that a great place to work? So it's a community type environment. And so that makes a huge difference in being successful within that, is to adapt to the culture and also understand what the culture is that the company has before you go work for them, because you may not like their culture, but every company, whether it's explicit or not, has a culture, and you can contribute to it, or you can be orthogonal to it and then have a miserable time.
All right, thank you. Karen, I see your hands up.
Yeah, so we know here in Oklahoma, maybe a lot of our families aren't aware of the intricacies of the jobs that you do. You know, it's really easy for parents to say, become a doctor, become a teacher, become a firefighter, because those are things that they're really familiar with. And many times computer science is kind of like the behind the scenes. And how can we kind of build up the stigma, or just computer science in general, to make people be aware of the facets of your job, so that we can, attract more people in? Because, you say somebody's a computer scientist and people are like, what in the world do they do? And there's so many different facets, but, what can we do to encourage that as a direction for our children to go?
I'll speak to that real quick, just because I have a unique background in that I always wanted to be a lawyer growing up. That was my thing. I actually had a scholarship that I blew to the University of Arkansas, which was a choice I made at the time. It wasn't. I realized that it wasn't something that I wanted to do after high school. But I told myself for 8 years of my life, the latter 8 years of high school, that I wanted to be a lawyer, just because of that, what you're speaking to right there, the whole stigma. When I was younger, it was a cop, but then I realized lawyers make more money. So, but I think for me, it's finding a way to show them that they can have fun with it. I think is a very important thing. Daniel's and Matt spoke to the programming early on and getting some exposure. Like I have 2 small children as well, and I grew up and the idea was keep technology away from your kids, never expose them to technology. It was a bad thing, so there was a stigma around always centering your kids with technology. And we believe that there's a limitation to it. We don't want to overstimulate to a certain degree, but at the same time, if it's something they enjoy, my job as a parent is to help stimulate the growth in that, so they can become passionate about it. And I think that as a whole, I think parents are responsible for some of that, and teachers. Just exposing them to something that's fun is a start. Some of these early programming tools will probably get a grasp on it, and if it's something they're passionate about, I think it'll take off. I just think that, as you mentioned, we've kind of been struck by the stigma of these specific types of roles are what is normal in life. But I'll tell you, I mean, I probably make more money than 90% of lawyers out there today. So I'm grateful for the path that I chose. Took a little bit of work to get there, but sometimes it's worth it. So I think kids sometimes too are taught that they can just come right out of school and they can make a ton of money, right? That's a thing that they're taught. Life is about money. And I'll tell you, I probably would have been miserable as a lawyer. So I would have been an angry man, even if I made it.
I think
Yes,
another,
go ahead.
another aspect is the excitement of it. I grew up with kind of this knack to fix things. And really in Votech, I thought I was going to be a TV repair guy of all things, because I was taking electronics. I'm like, hey, cool. Yeah, I can fix TVs. I'll fix TVs for my life. And that's what you think when you're, as a junior in high school. You don't think too far ahead. But the thing about IT is I can work in any city in America, and I can go find a job real easy. And not only that, I mean, with QuickTrip in particular, they're not shy about travel. And like Matt was saying earlier, one of the things that I'd forgotten about it, what we did was open stores. We would go and actually make the equipment work in the stores before they open, make sure the store's equipment talks to the gas pumps outside, make sure all that works. And then you got to hang out for the first couple hours of the store opening, which is a really cool thing, to go from a store that's not a QuickTrip to suddenly it's a QuickTrip and there's people in it and there's cars out pumping gas. But I got to fly all over the place. I got to know the Carolinas, got to go out to Atlanta many times, opened quite a few Atlanta stores out there. But their technology just allows you, it opens the doors for you to do so many various things, so many things you wouldn't really think of as something that you would be doing. And I'm listening to Steven down there and all the things that he's done. I'm kind of blown away, because I'm like, that's technology at work. You can suddenly find yourself in places you would never guess you'd be. So I think it's kind of a good way to advertise to kids. It's like, if you want an adventure, it doesn't seem like it would fit, but technology is a huge adventure. And on top of that, you'd like to say you can be doing one thing for part of your career and totally change and do something different. And if you're a person that doesn't like adventure, technology is still for you, because you can be a programmer and you can sit beside a screen anywhere, at home or at an office, and do it that way. So it kind of suits a lot of different people. And I know at QuickTrip, we see that our IT department is 200 plus people, and we are very, very different from each other. It's amazing just how many diverse people work in our IT department. And Chris works just down the hall from me. He's my go-to guy for technology or for networking stuff. And Chris is a ton of fun. He's, you know, our personalities gel. But if I go upstairs to the programmers, not so much. It's like a library up there, and you got to walk softly. But that's technology. There's just an awful lot to it. So I think we should kind of present that to kids as hey, this is not boring. This is not blowing dust off the top of computers. This is really exciting. You can really have an adventure doing this job. So that's been my experience, at least.
Say kind of following up with just some like specific engagement examples or ideas. Kind of to Daniel saying, I was always into fixing stuff. One of the first ways I really got into computers was in middle school. I had a computer teacher, basically just dropped us like a computer. I was like, here you go, take this apart and play with it. So, you know, we took it apart, we put it back together, figured out how to plug it in and make it work. And, you know, that was cool. You know, you just kind of took this thing to pieces and then you built it back together by hand and plugged it in, and oh my gosh, it worked. And you know, you could do stuff on it. So I think that was a really cool way to just kind of start getting them engaged and, you know, see how the components work and things like that. Going back to some of the coding stuff and the younger kids, I know Microsoft has some kind of education paths on, you know, learning to code in Minecraft. You know, I'm sure lots of the kids, I know mine is already, you know, out there playing that. So, I mean, they get excited about that. And that's just kind of a way to kind of lead them into, you know, learning some of the more technical bits. And then as they get older, you know, kind of going to the server side of things, you know, you could teach them how to actually stand up and host their own Minecraft server, how to add more memory to it or more hard drive space as they grow it. And yeah, so that would be just some kind of interesting things to start off with there and really get kids engaged, I think.
So one thing that, yeah, all excellent, and glad to hear of all of the energy here. We found the same kind of problem with Congress, trying to get Congress to understand the importance of high performance computing and whatnot. And so we actually had a partnership with DreamWorks. And you can find it on YouTube now. It's an 8-minute video about what is high performance computing and its strategic value. That video was done about 14 or 15 years ago, but the intention was to do exactly what you're talking about, but to make it real about what is possible, what people are doing and whatnot in that area. And it's a different area than what we've heard described. It is multifaceted. And if we think about it, we got Quick Trip here in town. We've got, I'm trying to think of ONEOK, and we've got Flight Safety over in Broken Arrow. And we've got dozens, if not scores or hundreds more that would all, I'm sure, if asked, would facilitate even a field trip. And the idea is to set up days out and go to see what a day in the life of this kind of a computing professional is. Over at University of Oklahoma, Henry Neiman over there does a day in the life of kind of series and brings in speakers to share that information with the students. So you don't necessarily have to take them to the places, but bring them in to do exactly what Chris and Matt and others have shared here. That's available. Bring them into the classrooms. It's kind of like, you know, daddy comes or mommy comes in and tells what they do for a living kind of situation. And I know that there are some pretty good tours here in town. I was just over at Flight Safety again, and I was looking at what we were doing with our intern relationship and graduate student heading towards Flight Safety program looks like. And they're not the only ones with a compelling tour capability.
That's actually a really good point, because early on, long before I got into any electronics or anything, I took a tour of St. Francis. I spent a day with one of my friend's dads, and he was the tech out there at St. Francis that did basically computer support, X-ray support. He wore all kinds of hats. but I walked around with him for a day, and the medical stuff scared the crap out of me. But the fact that he could walk into a doctor's office and go right over to a machine, they knew his name, he knew their name, hey, how you doing? And then he fixed their stuff and they're thrilled and he walked out. That left an impression on me, because I was like, I would love to be that guy someday. That's really cool. And years later, I am that guy, except I don't have to be around the medical stuff.
Well, that department's run by Trey Baumier now over at St. Francis.
Is it?
Yep.
The the guy I worked with was James Marshall, and like I say, this would have been goodness 30 years ago probably. So I think he's moved on, but like I say, and really the hospital work is really interesting. Neat technology there.
Yep.
Better be careful. You might end up supporting MedWise here soon.
I'm already supporting QuickMed. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I really want to thank you guys for joining our meeting and answering questions for us and giving us a little bit of an insight on what you guys do and what we can do to bring back to our classrooms to help these students kind of follow their passion. So and I just thank you so much. And I think are we turning it over to Karen now?
Yeah, so thank you, gentlemen, for sharing. And you may have some teachers reaching out to you who are interested in having you speak to their class or seeing if they can have a field trip.
Honestly, I take my seniors to Quick Trip every single year, my advanced programming seniors, and honestly, they come back and they're just like on fire. So they love the tour that they get at Quick Trip.
Plus they get free fountain drinks when they come out, so that's always a hit.
Hey,
Exactly.
they love the fountain drinks and they love the free pizza.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. I think our next speaker is Karen, and do you have your own thing that you need to share? Okay.
Yeah.
And gentlemen, you are welcome to continue and listen in on the rest of the meeting, or we totally understand if you have other things to do and would like to drop off, but we really appreciate you joining us tonight. And I'm going to stop sharing and give it over to Karen.
Okay. Well, my role here at the State Department of Education is to really encourage teachers to encourage students and to encourage our guidance counselors to get more students to take computer science courses. So one of the ways that I've been trying to kind of figure out how to push computer science has been to really kind of examine some of the careers in computer science. And this is a work in progress. It's just something that what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this slide deck with anyone here, and it will go as a forced copy so that you can take and add and manipulate. But when we hear a lot of people parents maybe talking about, I really don't want my child to go into computer science because they're going to leave, they're going to move far away, and I'm not going to have my family with me. And we're trying to show that there are so many things you can do and share and learn and bring back to Oklahoma. So what I did was I went through Indeed.com back in January and just kind of pulled together some titles and positions. And I'm going to have to pull some of the titles and positions from our guests tonight as well. But just to kind of go through and say, here, a technical project manager. The future job opportunities for this were pretty average. In January of 22, I found on a Google job search 151 openings for this type of project right here in Oklahoma. 45 of those were with Dell. Meta was 36. Salesforce had 4. Some of these I was even able to find some of the base salaries, but I think what was just shared is great. We just kind of need to make sure we find a way to help our students understand what's involved in that role. So software engineer, developer, they manage the creation of maybe computer programs. And like I said, this one, I was able to find some salary data. Bright Future, average salary about $110,000. Now, again, we kind of like what our guests said, that's not going to be your starting salary. That's, we're talking average, and it takes a while to get there, but 152 openings just through the Google job search, 6 for Pearson, 4 for Paycom, there were Boeing, there were Twitter, and all of these are either remote or Oklahoma based. So our students, our families can maintain, connections with them. Computer scientists, average salary about 90,000. Boeing had 6 opportunities open at that point in time. Some of the pictures are videos that will kind of give like a 1 to 2 minute explanation of what that role actually is. Sometimes I think that if our students kind of, see the salary potential, that's kind of fun too. And, we're not talking somebody who's just sitting remotely in an office and just doing stuff on their own. Here we've got Cox Communications, Amazon, the Thunder. We've just heard some wonderful things, travel through QT, and oh my goodness, the stuff that with the nuclear submarines and everything were pretty amazing. And I think just to be able to have something like this that it's a start for you if you would like to take and model. These were some that I didn't even get a chance to finish. Another resource that we can use for our students to find out, what exactly does it take, or what do I do if I want to do this job? I found careervillage.com, and I think it would be something that with older children, it would be okay. Maybe a teacher might submit some of the questions to this site if we're talking younger students, but basically it's kind of like a volunteer. Any of us could sign up to be an expert for Career Village, and people just post questions. If I want to go, what's a work day like? What kind of classes do I have to take for that job? So I know it's not much. There's so much out there to share, but hopefully some of that might give you a leg up on sharing this information with students. And like I said, right now, I am going to share this link in the chat box, and it will be forced so you can modify anything you need, but hopefully that's at least a start for encouraging our students here.
Thank you, Karen. And I'll add that into our slide deck, so they'll have the link to when we share out the slide deck later.
Wonderful.
And I just found out from my daughter, her concert starts at 7, so I'm still here. I'll still be here, so I don't have to leave early like I thought. So just FYI, I'm still here. Thanks for putting that together. Let me share my screen again. And the other resource that we put together is we just started this, so we would love to crowdsource this information, but just some other career resources that teachers might find helpful. We've got a link with top careers in CS, another one, how to get a job in computer science. And then I don't know if you heard Erin Bell from the Oklahoma Public Resource Center speak a while back. She's our Oklahoma Public Resource, OPSRC, is our code.org partner for Oklahoma. So she's anything code.org, you reach out to her, and they have a new person named Elizabeth that's also working there. But they have a whole career section that they've added this year as well that's got videos and different things like that. So if you are using something in your classroom that is not here and that we need to know about and other teachers need to know about, I would really invite you to add it to the chat, or send it to our email, and we can add it in the slide deck later. So please help us populate this list. I remember I was in a workshop somewhere where you could get a virtual chat with the CS professional and do kind of virtual field trips with them, but I cannot find that information. So if you have heard of something like that, perhaps that would be something to share, because like Karen said, there are so many different jobs out there, and we don't know all the intricacies of every CS job. So just getting that information to students is very helpful. Are there any questions or anything before we move on to the next phase of the meeting? All right. So coming up is election time. Every year we hold elections for our officers who are going to serve. It's a school year service term. So the new group would start in June and then serve through May of the following year. So we would really love to have anybody that's interested apply for a position. You can apply for any position that you would like to. We've got a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and a communications chair. There is if you're like, well, what does the communications chair do? There is a roles and responsibility document, which I won't read to you, but there's a link, and there's a link in the application if you would like to know more. It is like attending the meetings each month, but then there's some additional work outside of the regular chapter meetings for planning and things like that. There is a link to an application form. So if you're interested in being an officer, you can fill this out, and then we will create a voting form based on that that will open in April. So you have about a month to apply, to think about it. Encourage your friends to apply if you know some really good folks who would be great leaders. And then voting will open in April, and we will announce our new officers in May. And then those folks will serve from June through May of the following year. So some of the benefits to being a CSTA leader are, you get to work with a great core team of people who really care about computer science education in Oklahoma, lots of networking opportunities. This year we have funding for everybody who is an officer who will get to attend the conference in Chicago for free. Everything will be paid for. So that's exciting. In the past, we've only been able to send like maybe one person or virtual. This year there's funding for everybody to go. And then they also offer additional learning opportunities throughout the year that's just for leadership. And, it is extra like time. I understand like it's on the weekend or something, but it's been so enlightening, and I've just learned so much from it. So like I said, this is supposed to be the Computer Science Teachers Association. We would love to have some additional teacher representation in our officer positions. We've had some people who have been on here for several years that are about ready to roll off. So please, if you've thought about doing it, we would really love to hear your voice. And I think Pamela is the only person on our exec team who is actually a classroom teacher right now. The rest of us are former classroom teachers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we definitely want to make sure we're serving the needs of current classroom teachers. So I would encourage you to think about serving and completing the application.
And it's not a heavy lift.
It really isn't.
It's not.
It's not. And we do we're really good about helping each other. If you can't do your thing this month that you were supposed to do, somebody else, helps and steps up. So we really try to share the load. So are there any questions about what it would be like to serve as an officer, or questions about the process, or anything relating to elections? All right. If you have not signed in yet, please do so. And Leanne is driving. Leanne, you probably can't do the drawing. Is that correct? I'm guessing.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing it, that would be.
Okay, I just thought of that. So if you haven't signed in yet. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, Pamela, did you normally do the drawing, or you used to do the drawing? Could you do the drawing? Oh.
I did the drawing. I have it ready. So if we're
okay. Are you able to do that, or do you get me to send you the link? Sorry.
And while they're talking, I'm going to jump in and share. I did not get a chance to add this into the slide deck yet, but we do have 2 Bootstrap trainings coming up. We have a 1-day virtual training related to data science and how data science can be tied into coding, and it is a great experience. It's free, it's virtual, but it is not like it's entertaining. It's really fun. And then we will be having a Bootstrap algebra training that will take place July 25th, 26th, and 27th in OKC. Again, that's free. If you live outside of, I believe it's a 65-mile boundary, we will even provide hotels for you. And Bootstrap is a free curriculum that they've worked really hard. It's based out of Brown University. They create lessons specifically tied to our Oklahoma academic standards for computer science. And it's a great way to be able to do some of those cross connections. So.
And for schools who are looking at how are they going to meet the new legislation requiring CS to be taught in every school, like without adding one more thing, like integrating CS and algebra is a great way to help meet that. And because it meets the standards and it's already approved by the state, that kind of helps it out as well. So some other opportunities we've got coming up. I mentioned that if you're an officer, you'll get to attend for free, but they also have some scholarships for regular members to attend the national conference. Their application closes on April 24th. So if you want to go to Chicago, it's the first in-person conference in several years. The virtual ones have been really good, so I can't wait to see the in-person one, but there's a link for a scholarship if you would like to attend that. They also have, there's some other opportunities. OSU has an NSF grant that's talking about big data and machine learning. They're getting ready to choose participants. So we've sent this out on social media, but if you're interested in applying, you need to do it quickly because they're getting ready to choose participants. And then Karen mentioned Bootstrap, which we can add that in here later. Any other things that we don't know about that the group needs to know about that you all know about? All right, I feel like I'm talking to myself. So I can't wait till we can have face-to-face meetings again. Some national opportunities coming up. March 14th, they've got an equitable CS assessment practices. CSTA is really in the last couple of years really focusing in on DEI practices. So they have an equity summit coming up as well. Really lots to learn there about how we can make sure we're serving all students and increasing our diversity and make sure the needs of all of our students are being met. So here's just a couple of things that they have. I would encourage you to get on. They have a calendar of events. It's just lots and lots of events. Some of them are nationally sponsored. Some of them are local chapters who are doing things, but even if you're not a member of those local chapters, they've always been welcoming for other state members to attend. So these are just a couple of opportunities. So I encourage you to go to their website if you'd like to see what else is happening. Any other announcements? All right, our next meeting, this is a little bit different. Next month, we're going to have a special session, which is a 2-hour hands-on PD. It's still virtual, but we will be guided by the folks at Chibitronics in an Intro to Chibitronics course class. So Chibitronics is all about paper circuits and how you can integrate computer science and things like art, ELA. I saw on a workshop where they did these projects with kids where they were designing a city. And then they were programming things like street lights to come on and the fish to swim down the river. They've got storytelling and integration. So it's got lots of possibilities. So again, if you're trying to think like, how am I going to integrate CS to meet these new state requirements, Chibitronics might be an option for that. So it's from 5 to 7 on our regular meeting date, April 7th. But if you want to attend and have the kit, we have a limited supply of kits at a discounted rate. So normally the starter kit is $35. It will be available for $10. So CSTA will pick up part of that cost. You will pay for part of the cost. So you will need that kit in order to participate. Anybody can come and just sit in and listen, even if you don't have the kit. But in order to do the activities, you will need that kit. So I'm going to advertise this on social media probably tomorrow or the next day. So you guys get first shot at signing up because we do only have a limited number of kits that we can help subsidize the cost of because of the budget. So if you'd like to attend, you just have to be a CSTA member. So if you know a friend that wants to come to it, they just need to sign up. They can sign up with the basic membership. And what will happen is you'll fill out an application form. It's really just for us to verify that you are an Oklahoma teacher and you're a member. And then we will send you a code where you can order your supplies at a discounted rate. So check out Facebook, or we'll have a post on that, or there's the link in here as well. So I'm really excited about that because we've been wanting to do something hands-on, but it's been hard since we've got the pandemic and we haven't been able to see each other. So anybody have any questions about Chibitronics or the next meeting? All right, you can always feel free to email. Our email is cstaok@gmail.com if you have any questions in between meetings, or Facebook. We're pretty responsive on Facebook too. So if you're not in our Facebook group, you should join that as well. All right. Door prize drawing. Can I stop sharing?
Okay. Try to. Oh no. It says I can't share my screen.
Oh, because you're not I can give you rights. Let's see, Pamela. There you go. You should be able to now.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I took everyone from the sign-in and Daniel.
Daniel, congratulations.
Hey, I won something cool.
So I'll be emailing you in the next day or so, or well, I'll put your information into Starbucks and they will be emailing you. So just be looking for an email from Starbucks coming up.
That'll
soon.
work. My teenage daughter is a coffee fiend, so she will love that.
So whatever email you used to the ask
Yeah.
email when you signed in.
Yep. That's
Okay,
that's
so
my work
that's
email.
where. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
That's where it'll go to. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I'm going to check the Jamboard, and while I do that, that officially concludes the meeting. I'm sorry we're 4 minutes over, but if anybody needs to hang out, had any questions, there isn't anything on the Jamboard officially, but we're still happy to hang out if you have a question or something that you wanted to bring up or share or anything else. But if not, then have a great evening.